The Canelo, he said it's the Canelo era, but you look at it, there must be an error. You see what I did? I said Canelo era, there must be an error. Bars.
Does the Crawford loss affect Canelo's legacy? I mean, it affects it in the sense that had he won,
that was the game plan. I wanted to shock him early. You know, I knew that he genuinely just didn't respect me. I knew I had to get my respect.
Bam has joined. Even if he's the fourth guy, he's in that first tier now of Bud, Usyk, Inoue, Bam.
Yeah,
I think that's
the only reason he's under those three is because he's 25.
Canelo Alvarez, long considered the undisputed face of boxing, is suddenly facing a harsh new reality. For the first time since 2013, over a decade of dominance, Canelo Alvarez has been completely erased from the Ring Magazine's pound-for-pound top 10 rankings. While we all saw the cracks forming after the September loss to Terence Crawford, the final blow didn't come from a punch in the ring. It came from the rising tide of the next generation. Following the masterclass performances by Devin Haney, he's been absolutely destroyed in the standings. The era of Canelo's invincibility isn't just fading. According to the experts in the rankings, it is officially dead.
What was his power like? Have you been hit by anybody that strong before?
I've been hit harder.
No, in a real fight, not a sparring.
In a real fight. Avanesian, I mean not Avanesian, but Mean Machine hit harder than Canelo to me. To be honest.
Terrence. Congratulations.
The final nail in the coffin wasn't just Canelo's inactivity or his recent loss. It was the undeniable rise of Devin Haney. As of late November 2025, Haney re-entered the top 10, effectively shoving Canelo off the ledge. Haney's dominant victory over Brian Norman Jr. was the catalyst. You have a young, hungry champion in Haney taking risks and winning, contrasted against Canelo, whose stock has been in freefall.
I saw the smile on your face when you dropped Brian Norman in round 2, and that was no flash knockdown. He was hurt bad. You stepped right over him. What were you saying to him? What were you thinking in your minds?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the game plan. I wanted to shock him early. You know, I knew that he genuinely just didn't respect me. I knew I had to get my respect, or else it was going to be a long night. And that's what I did. I went in there, I shocked him, hurt him, and it made the rest of the fight easy for me.
I think he may have broken his nose. His nose was, he was, pawing at it the entire time. Do you think you broke it?
Yeah, no, I know that I broke it. But I want him to get back, home, to his family safely. I hope that, it's not nothing, crazy. Like I said, I got nothing but respect for Brian Norman and his father. I know, during the build-up, him and his dad and my dad had a lot of back and forth. They said a lot of crazy things about me, but at the end of the day, they gave me an opportunity to become champion again. So, and they're another father-son duo like me and my pops. So they made it to this stage. So I got nothing but respect for them.
It's ironic that Canelo, who used to be the young gun taking out legends, is now the veteran being pushed aside by the sheer momentum of fighters like Haney and Jesse Bam Rodriguez. The rankings are a zero-sum game. For Haney to rise, someone had to fall, and Canelo was the one left standing without a place in the top 10.
There is a pound-for-pound elite strata where I've always thought Bud Crawford has been the best pound-for-pound. In retrospect, it looks like the last 12 years.
Absolutely.
But there are other guys who people have put there are Usyk and Inoue, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the first tier, top 3 pound-for-pound. And then there's Benavidez and Bivol, who are kind of under those three guys, but they kind of, I think that after that performance, Bam has joined. Even if he's the fourth guy, he's in that first tier now of Bud, Usyk, Inoue, Bam.
Yeah,
I think that's
the only reason he's under those three is because he's 25. He's still new to this.
Fought all the guys.
Yeah, he doesn't quite have the body of
and
work.
And there he is, guys.
It's impressive.
That's the Ring Rate. I don't know if you're familiar with the Ring Magazine.
I'm
Ring
familiar
Magazine
with
rating.
it. Yes.
Editor-in-Chief of Ring Magazine, Doug Fisher.
I think that's the correct ranking, by the way.
I agree. Now, there's one name on this list that I believe will round out the top 5 shortly, and that'll be Shakur Stevenson.
Yep.
I think he's like that.
He just needs the right fights.
He just needs the right fights.
Just needs the right fights.
Bam Rodriguez, and what Eddie Hearn was saying about how he said the target for next year is Inoue. Guys, that's right, because Inoue and Bam and are different when you put your eyes on them.
Nice.
The reason people wanted to see Pacquiao and Mayweather fight, well, they both demoed Hatton and Cotto, right?
Right.
But it was also when you watched them, you were watching something that was different than everyone else in the
Stood
sport.
apart.
To understand why this drop is so catastrophic, we have to look back at the root cause. September 13th, 2025. When Terence Crawford stepped into the ring with Canelo, the world expected a competitive fight. What we got was a dismantling. Crawford didn't just beat Canelo, he stripped him of his undisputed title and, more importantly, his aura.
Does the Crawford loss affect Canelo's legacy? I mean, it affects it in the sense that had he won, it's a zero-sum game. Had he won, his legacy would have been enhanced. Although people would have said he beat a smaller fighter, but he lost. What that does is put Canelo in the following light. When he fought the best fighters who could also box, who could also move of his era, he lost. I don't mean he had trouble with Lara and the fight could have gone any way, or either way, or Austin Trout and it was competitive. I mean when he fought Floyd Mayweather, pre-prime, he was pre-prime, fought Floyd Mayweather, he lost. When he fought Dimitri Bivol, who actually is a naturally larger fighter and in his prime, and Canelo maybe was towards the tail end of his, he lost. And when he fought Terence Crawford, who, largely because he beat Canelo, is considered an all-time great, he lost.
Stephen A. Smith put it best when he said Crawford destroyed the perception of Canelo. It wasn't a lucky punch or a controversial scorecard. It was a technical masterclass that exposed Canelo's inability to keep up with elite speed and movement at this stage of his career.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
The media reaction has been swift and brutal. For years, pundits tiptoed around Canelo's performance, but the gloves are off now. Teddy Atlas, one of the most respected minds in the sport, didn't mince words. He broke down the Crawford fight by saying Canelo was simply a day late and $1 short. Atlas pointed out that while Canelo is undeniably a Hall of Famer, his recent work shows a fighter who can no longer pull the trigger against the best. Atlas released his own personal list, and Canelo was nowhere to be found, replaced by names like Usyk, Inoue, and of course, Haney. The narrative has shifted overnight from Canelo is the face of boxing. The protection is gone, and the critics are finally saying the quiet part out loud. The decline is real, and it is steep.
Canelo Alvarez, I was born ready, has been knocked off by Devin Haney. First time in 7 years. Canelo is not on that pound for pound joint. The man has been knocked off. You're seeing the transition from a lot of older fighters to the newer fighters and people who we've known to be, one of them ones. They're kind of being knocked off little by little, right? The Canelo, he said it's the Canelo era, but you look at it, there must be an error. You see what I did? I said Canelo era, there must be an error. Bars. He's nowhere to be found. After Devin Haney defeats Brian Norman, Canelo has been removed. So the current pound for pound rankings by Ring just came out and refreshed after the November card. Crawford number 1, Usyk number 2, Naoya Inoue 3, Bam Rodriguez is 4, I like Bam, but I don't know about that resume-wise. 5, Dimitri Bivol. 6, Artur Beterbiev. 7, Nakatani. 8, Shakur Stevenson. 9, David Benavidez. And then in at number 10, you got Devin Haney. So you notice Canelo ain't nowhere to be seen. Previously, Canelo was on the pound-for-pound list, hanging on by a thread. So most of the names pretty much stayed the same, but Canelo got knocked off, as you can see. Listen, this is what old media does. This is what they do, people. When you got the complexion for the protection, they will keep you on the pound-for-pound list as long as humanly possible, even if you don't deserve to be there. But then it gets to a point where it is like blatant and painstakingly obvious that new names have emerged that are currently doing better, to the point where they have to remove you.
If being dropped from the pound-for-pound list wasn't enough, the specific divisional rankings add insult to injury. Look at the WBO situation. Canelo has re-entered the super middleweight rankings at number 1. On paper, that sounds fine, until you realize who is holding the belt above him. It's Terence Crawford. Canelo is now ranked underneath the man who just beat him in a weight class that Canelo owned for years. He is looking at the new conqueror. The IBF and WBA are shuffling their decks, with fighters like Osleys Iglesias and Bektemir Melikuziev circling like sharks. Canelo isn't the hunter anymore. He's the target. He's no longer the undisputed king defending his throne. He's a contender fighting for a chance to that throne.
The titles have been they've been on hold for so many years, and now it's time for us to see new champions. The WBC, has the rankings up there. I think Billy and Lester should be 1 and 2 because they're fighting for the vacant title pretty much. If they fight for the interim and the Crawford vacates, they become the champion anyway. So that should be 1 and 2. The Canelo should be 3, waiting for the winner if whoever wins. That's the way it should be. But Canelo is Mexican. The WBC wants to have Canelo number 1 because they could do whatever they want.
We cannot talk about Canelo's collapse without mentioning the name that has haunted his career for the last 3 years, David Benavidez. For a long time, fans accused Canelo of ducking the Mexican monster, and now the consequences of that decision are clear. Benavidez is thriving, sitting comfortably in the top 10 and calling out champions at light heavyweight. By avoiding the fight when he had the leverage, Canelo has left himself in a lose-lose position.
Actually, I don't think a fight with me and Canelo would ever happen at 168. I want to go back to 160. I'm good at 175. I'm world champion here. So if you'd want to come up to fight at 175, I'm all good with that. But right now, I can't live in this fantasy world where like, oh, maybe I'm going to get this fight, maybe this and that. I've done my job. I've done everything to get this fight. It's one of the biggest fights in boxing. If a person don't want to make it happen, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make a fight happen with a person that doesn't want to fight me. So I'm just trying to fight the people who are really trying to fight.
If he fights Benavidez now and loses, it's the final nail. If he continues to ignore him, the critics will say he was scared until the very end. The safety net of fighting guys like John Ryder or Edgar Berlanga is gone. Those business decisions kept him rich, but they didn't keep him sharp, and the rankings are finally punishing him for it.
Before we get out, David never gonna get the Canelo rub, huh? No.
I just think he need that Mexican rub.
Nah, I mean, it ain't gonna happen.
I know. Canelo ain't just gonna. Who Canelo gonna fight? 2 or 3 fights. Canelo got for the 2 fights. Got the Saudi guy.
Yeah.
He fighting him that beat Berlanga.
Oh, is he gonna fight?
I'm just saying. That's why I got.
Okay.
I got Jake Paul.
I'm trying to think of his name.
You heard what I said then?
Yeah, you said you got Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that this is a whole nother conversation, but I'm
Shiraz,
yes. I'm hearing that Canelo doesn't have the ability to pick his opponent, and he also
Canelo doesn't.
That's what I heard.
Wow.
And not only that, he can't refuse an opponent.
Canelo's been running his career for the last 5,
easily 10.
I was gonna say 10. But
yeah.
That's crazy for somebody to tell Canelo what to do.
That's what I heard.
I seen Canelo fight on Top Rank
a whole nother conversation.
Next week on PVC.
And a whole nother conversation right there. But to know that this man can't refuse a fight that's kind of crazy.
So I mean, now I got hope for David Benavidez' fight. But then he had to go up because he'll go down for that.
I think Benavidez will go down for that. Yeah. Get you a nutritionist, big dog, and make it happen.
At 35 years old, Canelo insists he isn't retired. Turki Alalshik has confirmed plans for a massive return in early 2026, but the options are terrifying. Rumors are swirling about a Crawford rematch, but does anyone actually want to see that after how decisive the first fight was? There's talk of a Bivol rematch, another fight where Canelo would be the underdog. He is trapped in a corner where the only fights that make money are fights he likely loses. He needs a miracle to regain his standing. He needs to do something drastic to prove that the end of an era headline was premature. But in boxing, once you slide down, it is nearly impossible to climb back up, especially when an opponent like Crawford is looking down at you from the summit.
But unless he gets a direct shot at Crawford, I don't, and even then, I don't know. But I don't know that he's going to be willing to go through those kind of guys to get to the shot. No, champ? I mean, do you think he's going to be willing to go fight any of these other contenders in order to get to the shot?
Again? The question is, does he want to be a world champion again? So
well, no, he wants to have the title without doing the work. That was obvious from the way he was defending it.
But Coach, I want to ask you, Robert, we talked a little bit a few days ago about, the old man tour, which is you're not holding up any belts, you're fighting big money fights, it's a lot of fun, but you're not taking on, as Paulie says, these savages. And also David Morrell, his coach, Bob Santos, talking about, hey, he might come down to 68. Now, if the belts open up, it is a sea of killers. Canelo's got to get through at least one or two of them to get there. Does he want to do that at his stage in his career, Robert?
I really don't believe he wants to do that. I think he wants the rematch because it generates a lot of money. And like I said before, if he makes a few changes, if he adds somebody new to his camp, just to let the world, the boxing news, show that there's something new coming, maybe people get interested in the rematch or something. But besides that, there's so many, like you guys are mentioning, so many young talented fighters that are there that are going to be very dangerous for Canelo at this point. I think Canelo, the way he looked, he has no hunger anymore. I don't think he should be competing against those guys because it doesn't mean anything for him. He's just going to look for the big fight, the rematch if he can, and if not, maybe retire. I don't know. That's something we have to consider, that it might be time for him to retire.
The removal of Canelo Alvarez from the top 10 is more than just a statistic. It is a signal that the sport moves on, with or without its biggest star. We are witnessing the harsh reality of combat sports. You are only as good as your last fight. Canelo gave us a decade of greatness, but between the rise of Devin Haney and the brilliance of Terence Crawford, the torch hasn't just been passed, it's been snatched away.
Canelo is in the conversation for greatest chin ever. How many fighters are still standing after that?
He got chin.
How many fight? I mean, you're not supposed to. I know it wasn't right on the button, but oh my God.
It was flush, though.
It was flush. But you're not surprised, though, because Canelo, we all said that. We can all vote. That's something that me and Mike probably could agree on for once. Is that Canelo probably is the best chin we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've only seen him routed with one time, ever.
I think about, let me tell you the greatest chins in boxing history. Tex Cobb at heavyweight. That's the dude that Larry Holmes beat so bad over 15 rounds, Howard Cosell walked away from boxing. I watched that fight, a little black and white TV at my grandma's house. Howard Cosell, I remember the speech. This is too brutal and barbaric, and he walks away from boxing. Cobb had one of the, Tex Cobb, in that conversation, a heavyweight. Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull. Never really knocked off his feet. Marvin Hagler. But this
what about
dude,
James Toney?
James Toney, great chin. This dude is in that category.
As we look toward 2026, the question isn't whether Canelo is still the best. We know he isn't. The question is whether he can accept his new reality, or if he will try to rise again to regain his place as the #1 pound for pound, a place that he defended for 10 years. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon, so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.